And I think we're live. I think we did it.
Cool.
Yeah, this is new for us. Usually we record these podcasts and then spend a ton of money to get them all prettied up. I don't know if you know this, but I actually pay our editor to make my skin look clear and more tan. Just mine.
Shut the
I'm
frick
totally
up.
kidding. How great. There's people that do that stuff though.
God. Oh man. Can I yeah, we can go a million different ways with that comment. But anyways, happy Friday, guys. Welcome
Happy
back
Friday.
to Talk Tier. We are live. We're trying this out. In Landon, what are we going to talk about today?
Yeah. I think today would be a perfect time to really talk mindset. I've learned we've learned so much in this journey that we're in the real estate and business and commercial real estate, single family, residential real estate, and all the different things that you and I are doing independently of one another that we've accomplished, we failed and whatnot. And I feel like the derivative of all that is really the mindset and who we've become in the process. I think entrepreneurship is the greatest personal development machine of all time. And who we've become in the process is more important and more impressive than anything we've accomplished and done. And I think that's a big thing. So today, I really wanted to talk about really, from an idea, whatever that idea is, a business, a startup, a real estate business, whatever it may be, to taking that action, right? Like reducing the latency and why that matters, talking about time management, and then really just mindset stuff. And what'll be great is to hear from your end how you manage your time specifically today. We can talk about your day today. And I could even share my screen of what my Google Calendar looks like, how I time block my days every day and what that looks like, and to show people exactly like what I'm doing and what I've grown into. When I started in this whole business, I did not time block. I did not manage my time. I was not intentional with my time. And how you do everything is how you do anything, or however you say that. And so from that standpoint, like now how I do anything is completely different now, because you have to manage your time. You have to time block. You have to be intentional, because you can see very quickly in your calendar if you're doing the thing or you're not. And so I think that'll be fun to talk about today.
It's funny because I had to own my proverbial shit lately, and I had to do a time audit, dude. I had to do a time audit because I'm trying so hard to make my active income in commercial real estate as a broker. And I had to look at my calendar and ask myself if I was spending the amount of time that it was going to take to meet my goal, because you can fill your day with a lot of busy work and feel so busy. And as a new business owner and entrepreneur, I think people really struggle with this. They get to the end of their day and they're exhausted. And then they go, what did I do today? And it's because they didn't do much. It's so easy to get mired in the easy stuff, the admin, the payroll, the whatever it is, when those are not your most important tasks as a business owner and entrepreneur. Sales are. If you're not making sales, you're not making money. Yep. So what are you doing? Like, what are your highest money-making activities? And those better be on your calendar every freaking day. And everything else it comes in, right, at different intervals. So I audited my time, and, if Landon and I talk about this book a lot because like he harassed me about this book, and
right there.
And my partners, Rinda Emick and Heather Cadu, harassed me about this book, whatever. Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time. Read the book. Great freaking book. But these books don't matter. They do not matter unless you implement what you're learning. There are so many incredible beginner books, guys. Financial management, how to understand stocks, real estate, bonds, all the things. But if you're not reading it and then implementing what you read to, for how it makes sense in your life, then all you're doing is pouring something into your brain that's going to pour right back out in a month or two. And the book's going to sit on Landon's shelf until he rereads it. But he doesn't have to worry about that because he actually implemented what was in the book. So long story short, did the time audit and realized I was almost there, but not quite. So I had to tweak things. And now everything in my calendar is representative of, am I actually spending the time doing what I have to do to accomplish this goal? And I think that goes a lot towards the way you started this conversation was, How do I start something new and how do I succeed?
Yeah, completely. It's been instrumental in who I became and changed because I am intentional, and I'm intentional at a pretty granular level. Like in my calendar now is from the second that I wake up, literally my alarm clock every day is 3:36 a.m. I have my time block starting from that moment and works through everything from my gratitude practice, driving to the gym, how long I work out, then my, all those little things. I get very intentional, and you don't have to get that specific. Like I'm a weirdo for sure, but like I break mine up in really like 15 or 30-minute increments is kind of my day of thinking about things. Of course, I have batched work of production work or seller calls or closing calls and whatnot. And then podcast breaks like today is, a pretty big Zoom day for me. So another thing that I've done is taking a lot of similar modalities, if you will, and batch them
Mhm.
into singular days. So today is a heavy Zoom day. This is probably honestly, my 6th hour sitting in a Zoom or some type of
Woo.
stream. And that's on purpose. That's by intention, because if I'm bouncing between this right here and then production work and then a seller call and then a title and escrow deal or this or that, or I'm going to be so scatterbrained, I'm not going to be focused to where right now I'm tuned in, I'm mentally prepared to have this conversation and intellectually navigate the architecture of what we're going to talk about and all the little things because I'm in talk mode right now. But one thing you hit on too that is so critical that I battle in full transparency is at the end of my day, pre-time blocking, I would have that exact thought, that regret thought of what did I get done today? I really did. And then now what that's shifted into is what's the word I want to use? Scientifically look back on my day. It's not the right word, but I can look back and go, here's what I accomplished. Here's what I got done. And I'm proud of that. I got done because I assigned a time domain to accomplishing that task. Because before I would just have a checklist. I would be a human
Same.
doing.
I know I have like phone checklists. I have this, my husband
Oh,
just
you
got me
should
this,
see. Yeah.
this little checklist thing. I'm like, I don't want this. I don't want this thing. This is
Well,
my,
you turn into a human doing instead of a human being. And so like that was a huge thing for me of like, yes, I am very engineer-esque to where I am like still checklisty in a sense. I still operate that way, certainly. But if I can add time domains, that's going to take me this time or I can a lot. Now, because what was happening is I create this checklist on my little notepad deal. And at the end of the day, I'd look at it and go, yeah, I checked 7 of them, but 14 of them are still unchecked. And so what did I feel? Like I didn't do anything.
disappointment. You felt
But if I
disappointed.
really looked at how much time it took 1 through 7 of those things, and that's a full chalk day, I'd go, I got everything done that I could physically accomplish in that day, you know? But then when you said get tired at the end of the day, that's one thing that I'm currently battling because I am an old man, and that's a lot of waking up at 3:30, bed at 8. Like there's that certainly has a factor, but being full and being fully energized for my kids because that's what
Okay.
really matters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But like also 98.99% of people on this planet with kids 5 and under, like you and I have, are not psychotic like us and do not do what we do.
Yeah. It's the truth. Yeah, but
And
you know what's funny is I have such a hard time accepting anything as an excuse. I always feel like I can
it's
do
a
it.
reality. It's the truth.
It
It's
is.
the
Yeah.
truth. Life has to move slower when you have small children. You cannot do the same things that somebody that's not married, that does not have children can do. Those
Yeah.
people can like hole up wherever they are for days at a time and produce insane amounts of work.
Think
We
about
cannot do that. I mean, you're talking about like how you can't, like you've batched done things throughout your like your days now, which I struggle with. Like today's a Zoom day, today's a content today, whatever, right? But you know what you can't do? You can't batch out kid time. They need you when they freaking need you. And your mind has to what is that? It's literally a term. It's like something switching. I don't know what it is, but like I have Isla home with me all day, right? And I've thought about this for days now. The amount of times I have to stop productivity in my mind to change a diaper, to deal with the bottle, to roll her back over because she's a turtle and rolls on her tummy and gets stuck and can't roll back over yet, right? Just to care for her. I mean, can I work at the same time? Absolutely. But I have to stop what I'm doing when I'm deep and
Yeah.
stuff to help my baby. And that's, I had a baby, dude, and you have babies. So you have to, family is just, it's why we do what we do. It's a
Yep.
non-negotiable. It makes things imminently more challenging. And that is not an excuse. It's a reality, hard fact, hard stop. That's it.
Yeah.
So like that level of grace, it's been really hard for me to give myself that. I still get angry and upset when people go, well, look at all the things you're doing and you have a baby. I'm like, don't.
Yeah. Think about what's great. You have like people don't have perspective if you don't have kids, like the perspective of
No.
things of like, man, what we could accomplish. I don't know. That's like, again, an old curmudgeony way of thinking about it of like what we could do if we were doing what we're doing now without the responsibility of two humans. Our kids today in this household right now, as we speak, are having a day. They took their first nap at 9 a.m. this morning.
They've been up since
You know what I'm
4.
saying?
So
My wife, I can hear like screaming at times out there.
Oh God, poor Caitlin. Like,
Yeah.
oh man. It's just, it is what it, like, it's the beauty and the challenge of
Yeah.
like supplying the planet with more humans, you know, and creating a family and building a family. And I mean, Caleb, right? 5, ranging from 3 to 18. Talk about a freaking span, man. What did you just like completely start over? Like that is so hard. You have an 18-year-old, you have a 3-year-old. I mean,
it's just a little date night. Had a little date night and
right?
had one extra gin and tonic, and
We
then
can
now
do
we're
it.
here.
Like, yeah, let's start over. It's a lot, man. And Landon did it, and I did it with number 3. And like but the point is that you can you can start over. You can, right? Focus your mind. You can capitalize on your calendar. And for the time that you have allotted every day to pour into the new thing that you want to do, you can make progress.
Yep, totally. Yeah, undoubtedly. And that's just, I think that's the one thing that I'll hang my hat on is that I'm not special. I'm not any different or more capable than Caleb, than you, than me, than anyone else. But I will hang my hat on that I'm hyper consistent and I will make continual progress day in and day out, regardless if any progress or tractions made that day over the course of 7 days, 30 days. I mean, you look at on the opposite scale, you look at like if you have a cookie a day and you look at everything, it's like that's 30 cookies a month. You know, that's 360, like all those little things, no different than in the production space of thinking about what we're doing, working what we're towards of our action. Like last night was so cool. You and I had the opportunity to sit in on a live networking storage event to meet fellow self-storage investors. And that was really cool to see you and Chris in there and us 3 just chilling and amongst those people that we had never seen or met, at least for me. And then for us to get thrown into these breakout rooms thinking that we are, I don't know, for me,
so new. Like we're so new at this. Like we don't even like own anything yet.
Yeah. No, own nothing.
Self-storage.
Yeah. Self-storage. We're talking self-storage. And to be in this room of how many people, 15 people in that room, 16 people. And in these breakout rooms, we're being asked questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was bananas. Like I was blown away by some of this stuff of the people that were asking me questions. One guy, he owns a mobile home park. He owns an apartment complex and multiple single family homes. And he goes, so if I get a property, if I get a unit, if I get a facility, it's like he's stumbling through, if I get a facility under contract, where do I take the contract? Like, and I go, do you mean like a title and escrow company? Oh, you use those for these? Okay.
Or an attorney, a business. But okay, like no judgment, right? Nobody knows what they don't know.
Yeah.
But also, like we're starting something so new. We were there to learn, and it's so
100%.
Like we were there to literally learn from these people, and it's so cool that I did learn things last night. I learned super critical things last night that are literally going into the structuring of our current LOI or our current purchase contract. But we were able to share what we know. And I think that that's where you kind of go, oh crap, like we do know a thing or two about a thing or two.
Yeah, it felt good, no doubt, but it proves the point that, and we'll talk about it here, is like taking an idea and taking massive action immediately, is that, and this is something that's new to me. You know, I've also been the person that has this cool idea and then just doesn't do anything for 2 years and just consumes all the not 2 years, but consumes content about the thing and then just never does anything. Like, done it, been that person.
Absolutely.
But what I've learned is it's imperfect action is what it needs to be taken. There's no one out there doing it perfectly, and it just takes time and stacking and stacking. And so here back in July, you and I hosted Bree Hartman on our podcast talking self-storage. You saw in my eyes light up. You were jacked. You brought the guest in. You knew it was going to be something special. From that day moving forward, we've been taking 1% incremental effort every day toward doing this. Fast forward to today, we're under contract for our first facility, actively negotiating, looking through P&Ls, like having different level conversations that we would have had in July. Like, I don't know. I mean, I knew what a cap rate was, but I don't use it in the residential space. And so like, it's not a utility tool that I use and throw around like you do in your commercial space. So like for me, learning terminology, like I talk about this with my consulting clients, like some of them who are like newer. I go, you know, like with anything, you like my daughter out there, when her first word was dada. So was Macklin's, by the way.
Oh my God.
Points. And then we went from dada to morning dada, morning
Yeah.
dada, love you dada, to can I have a squeezy? We're compounding terminologies to build words, to 2 words, to sentences, to paragraphs, to all these things. It's no different than in self-storage for me. Like, I'm walking into a brand spanking new book and I'm going like this and I'm starting over and learning. And yeah, a lot of our experience of what we've done and what I've done will certainly help and aid in certain ways as we go along. But it's really just taking the action and just starting to do the thing and be do have, you know?
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, I've always, I think, craved change. And so I have always, like as a kid, I probably switched schools like 4 times. And it was like, I want to switch schools. I want to start over. Like, I've changed my career probably like a good 4 times, started over, like become an expert at something, to the point where if I look back now and I tell myself, if I would have just stuck to that one thing, I would have been so much further ahead. Like, would I even be here with you? Would I even be having these conversations? Like, I don't know. And that's always been what I thought was a problem. But now that I am working full-time as an entrepreneur, I'm realizing that as I go through that calendar year, my services, they iterate based on market demand, based on what I've learned, based on what I can provide people. And it feeds that desire for change and building and self-development and all these things. But the more important part of that is the fact that you do that in one lane. You pick one lane. So came into real estate and knew I wanted to invest. At the time, was a buyer, needing to depreciate my income. And I knew that I didn't know anything about the contracts and how you could transact and all these different legal ways you could buy real estate in different states. And, you know, my mind like cracked open like an egg, and I didn't have to buy traditionally anymore. I could buy like 1,500 different ways. And I needed to learn that because that's how I learn. So I picked one thing for a year. I didn't need to become a transaction manager. I didn't need to start a company. I didn't need to do any of that stuff. But I picked that one thing and found partners. We developed a business. And for the course of the last year and a half, that's been the thing I've done. And my services have changed under that umbrella. But I've stayed here and focused, like drilled into what I'm doing. And because of that, with the self-storage thing, I'm going, great. I've earned the next lane. Like
Bingo.
this lane absolutely pours into that lane. This lane is established. I now can step away. I don't need to live here, but I gave myself a real chance to become like an expert. And now I can deviate and create the next super structured lane. And I think that for all, like you, Chris, and I were at the self-storage thing, right? It's a really great example. We have active businesses. You have a W-2. We have families that we need to care for every single day, but every day we move the self-storage needle an inch forward. It's not like we quit everything we were doing and we're like, we're going to do this now. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So starting over is not about this or that. It's about this and that, and creating this space to do that in your life.
Yeah, it totally is. And that's so critical because I see, shout out to Caleb, about 3 sub-2s this year. What was your goal, Caleb? Was your goal 1 this year? I'm curious.
Gosh,
I think it was 1.
I can't believe we're already at the end of 2024. We're talking about like what we did this year. Insane.
Wow. Yeah, we need to have that podcast. But to your point, like I've always been a person I've never really made like drastic changes, like crazy new haircuts or like, although, what's interesting, you touched on change very much so for me. I'm a person that is comfortable moving all the time.
See, that's
So
change.
like moving out of a home, like I think about the past 5 years we've been in Arizona. We've lived in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places. My wife, her parents have lived in the same home their entire lives, still live there pre one stoplight in our town. And so she's very much like, I want to be in the same place.
Yeah.
And so for her, that change is like miserable. But for me, but no, from a standpoint of like, drastic changes, it was never that. It's always slight shifts of the main of that sailboat of where we're going and what we're doing, because like when you look at, I mean, that's the whole theory is you're on a boat out there and you slightly shift the sail and you take it over 50 miles, that gap between those two things is wildly different, And so I think there's so many skills that you stacked, become a transaction manager, me learning creative finance and how to navigate, architect, engineer deals and all these different things and closings and sales and marketing. And Chris with his Google experience, being a nerd, like, and that's a compliment. Like he is so good at what he does behind the scenes, SOPs, all the whatever. Like we all manifested to this moment, it brought our skills to the table at the right time for the next evolvement in each of our businesses and what we're doing independently and collectively.
So, okay, you are deciding that the end of 2024, the beginning of 2025 is your time. It's going to be the time that you start X, Y, or Z. Landon, where do you start? Where do you start with that? This year, I am going to start real estate investing. This year, I'm going to start that landscaping business. This year, I'm going to do this. And then you get overwhelmed with where to start and then you don't do anything. So what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a lot of it's mindset. I'll tell you. I mean, I don't have the answers in the sense of all of those intricate details, but what I'll tell you is like it's who you become in the process, and what that really looks like is being around like-minded people that will support that journey and support that dream or have done that and accomplished that. That's why we were at that self-storage networking event last night, because that's a part of who we're going to become in the future or aspire to be, what we thought it was going to be rather. And it's no different than, your community, the top tier community, my community, the sub-2 community, like that wholeheartedly has allowed me to accomplish and have the success I've done in terms of what other people are doing, to see proof of concept of what other people are doing, So if that's the case, if you're going to start a landscaping company, like that's your dream, that's your journey, that's your passion, for me, it's getting around people who already own landscaping companies. That might be difficult, but finding people who own those and what they did when they started up. Is it one used truck with a trailer? Is it, 3 employees? Is it just you and another person and you pick a street and you start door knocking? But it's all about just starting action today and not worrying about being perfect and having the LLC perfectly crafted with a corporate structure and a self-directed 401k and
logo, like getting caught up in your logo and your website and all that crap.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really great place to start though. I'm very project management oriented and I'm very structured in that way.
Okay.
So for me, when I start something new, I have to do exactly what you just said. I have to hear it. I want
Okay.
to, and I'm all about stories. I've been such a
Hmm.
hero since I was a kid. I used to like be 5 years old and ask somebody what they did for a living and how they got there. I always wanted to hear, I didn't like, I could see that they were successful, but I needed to understand, especially as a teenager, how, like, but how did you get there? And the common thread in every single informational interview I had, which I had dozens after that through college, through grad school, trying to find my way in life, was, you know, I met someone who changed my life. You know, I was like, how do you get this job? I got the degree. I can't get where I want to go. I don't understand. Like,
Yeah.
they tell me the story of the one person they met that brought them either the opportunity, introduced them to the person with the opportunity, or created the opportunity for them. And I hated that answer. Every time somebody freaking said that
Yeah.
to me, I was like, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear the steps. I follow the steps. I want the checklist. I don't want to have to go meet and talk to a bunch of people. And that was the truth. Because ever since then, that has been the way into every single opportunity I've ever had. Was I met the person, it happened, the opportunity presented itself. I was whatever it was, whatever iteration of it was people. So if you want to start something new, you don't have to pay to be in a mentorship, although that is incredibly helpful, but you need to get around the people doing the thing that you want to do and ask them their story, guys. People love talking about themselves. I mean, look at
Oh
us.
my gosh. Yeah. Every time. I mean, I use that to my advantage when I'm talking to sellers or agents
Yeah,
is whatever they have going on, I'm just an ear for them to talk more about it. I had a
right.
seller talk about her kids for like 35 minutes on that phone call. And at the end of it, she's like, let's put a deal together. Like, I feel like this is just going to be such a good fit for them. I'm like, sounds great.
Yeah. I mean, talk to the people that are doing the thing that you want to do and ask them how they did it. And then when they make suggestions to you,
Listen.
don't put it on a checklist.
Yeah.
Just freaking do it, man.
Well, that's
Freaking
where, I mean, you hit a couple of things there. Number one is there's so much opportunity out there no matter what we're doing in this world. And I've done a good job recently in the past, I would say 5 or 6 years, even looking back on my childhood of like being around the people. Like I grew up, one of my best friend growing up, I didn't know it at the time. I did not know it at the time, but my best friend, I knew it at the time, but I'll tell you what I mean by, my best friend, his parents owned 7 McDonald's franchises. And I always got one free McDonald's my entire childhood. I mean, come on. I was a
wow.
chubby little fella, but
You were not.
um, I need to show you some photos. I was probably 2 bills,
Stop
legit.
it.
Yeah.
Stop.
Anyway,
All right, moving on.
so, but more importantly, they own 7 McDonald's franchises. They own a beach house. They own this. And I always heard they never spend a dollar of their own money. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? And
yeah,
I, at the time, didn't know what that meant. I knew that clearly they make a ton of money from their McDonald's franchises. Like, what does that really mean? And like, they have a really cool house out on the golf course there, my dream, right there on the big old house in the corner. They have 3 kids that are,
right.
one went to University of Hawaii, the other one went to U of A here. The other one went to, actually, his last son, smart little fella, went to what's called Hamburger University. Don't know if you knew that was a thing. It's in Chicago. And became the general manager of all the stores because he's
So
going to be handed down all the stores. But no, that's not the story. More so, I'm surrounded by this. I was never at that level. I
yeah,
grew up like very middle class, blue collar, like standard, like dad dug ditches, mom worked a job, very, just
really.
2 income family. And they did everything they could. Amazing human. My best friends. My mom was just, I could hear her. She was just here. We're dropping our kids off tonight at their house while Caitlin and I do a little date night.
Nice.
Best friends. My dad bought a bike. He just rode over here last night. And like, he's like, it took me 11 minutes, 22 seconds. Like
That's
he's timing
awesome.
himself. Amazing humans. But more importantly is like, I saw what that achieved for that family. And I wanted to surround myself with more people like that. So everywhere I'm at, I'm always looking for what type of networking event or what type of
Yeah.
environment can I put myself in to be around business owners or real estate investors or owner, like all those different things. And it's as granular as like as basic as a gym membership. So like for me now, I certainly have a bougie gym membership one would look at and say, and if you look at it at a surface level of like paying for just a dumbbell or a barbell, like it's expensive. But if you really dig down as to why I'm really paying for that gym, it's priceless because I'm sitting in a sauna every single day around business owners, commercial brokers, medical
Mm,
sales representatives, private money lenders. Like there's one guy right there raising $300 million for a syndication right now that he's done. He's like 75 years old, 80 years old.
that's
Like, do you think
amazing.
I have some things to learn from him?
Yeah.
Totally. You
We
know?
have things to learn from everybody,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah. Oh,
from
yeah.
everybody. But I did hear that from a very well-known, reputable capital raiser, where it's like she completely changed her life while she had a W-2 by going to fundraising events and being around people that, like you said, the expensive gym membership, the events, and it's crazy because I am 37. I know I'm not quite middle-aged yet, but I'm middle-aged. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do any of that. I'm
Really?
tired. I want to
Really?
sit and Netflix and chill, dude. I'm freaking tired.
Really?
By the time 7 o'clock comes around, I don't want to be out at some freaking yacht
Yeah.
club
I hear you there.
dressed up. Like I'm tired, man. I want to
Mhm.
be home with my kids and resting and like refueling for what is going to be a back to back to back to back to back day the next day because that's how I do my calendar. And what I recognized most recently when I was trying to do something new was that I had to get around people and I had to create
Yeah.
relationships. I had to network. I had to show people who I was. I had to
Yeah.
give people the opportunity to work with me by showing them who I was, by showing up. And every single time I show up to a networking event, I sit in my car and I take a deep breath and I'm like dreading it, bro. I'm dreading it. And then I walk in and I just like, hi, I'm Daniela, and this is what I'm working on. And it's so great to meet you. And
Wow.
I leave every single event just tapped with look, check this out. This is like how many business cards I get at every event. And then I come home, I friend everybody on LinkedIn, I send everybody a personal email, and I friend everyone on social media.
It's great.
Because I want them to go on my social media and see that I'm telling the truth, that I'm doing the thing that I say that I'm doing, so that when they think about self-storage or commercial or transaction management, they're going, I just met a girl and she does all these things and I'm going to ask her,
Yep.
but I mean, for everybody out there, it's like, I'm too tired. I don't have time. My kids, my wife, my husband, I'm there. I am with you. But there's no other way than through. You have to go through to
Yep.
get to what you want.
What's crazy is like I mean, 8:30 rolls around, I'm yawning, I'm done. Completely
Yeah.
done. Sometimes I'm asleep before 8 o'clock, like with my kids out playing still. But
Right.
I'll tell you, like those events are my fuel. That's what
Mhm.
fires me up is going to those things. I thrive in those environments and meeting people.
Yeah.
And
That's not shocking.
it's funny because Caitlin, completely not.
Yeah.
Although I will say, like, she got to go to her first meetup here recently where with the TC hat on, and it was a very different experience for her. It was pretty cool.
Well, she
But
has things to talk about.
what's that?
She had her own things to talk about.
Yeah, completely. But she was shadowing me for a lot of it. I'm like, hey, like, I don't know
Yeah.
you. Leave me alone. And no, I'm kidding. But it's so true. But all that to be said, Daniela, you mentioned this word many times is opportunity. And opportunities lie at every one of those meetups. It lies in every single thing that we do today and every Zoom you have after this one and before this and whatever it may be. And that's where it stops unless you have determination. So, for instance, a lot of the people that are in my accountability group and that do my consultations, we talk about these things. And toward the end of it, I have them reflect back on all the opportunities that we just talked about and what they could be doing and how to get hyper focused and getting intentional in these systems and standards and habits. But I go, that doesn't mean shit
Unless you do
unless
it.
you have determination to do it.
Yeah.
And so and what's beautiful too is like, that's what's attractive about Chris. That's what's attractive about you in the business of what we're doing is we have an idea. We all agree upon it. We have an ambition to drive a goal, and we're setting the standards. We're setting the habits. It's like without even speaking to each other, we already know what that really looks like on a daily level of what we're doing and the connections we're making. You know damn well, sure, I'm going to be going to self-storage events here locally and starting to meet people and shaking hands, playing golf, all the little things to progress us forward. And so it's so beautiful to be around that. And so, for you, when you're doing your time management, are you intentionally finding networking events to like time block into your calendar, or like what are you doing for that? Or is
Oh
those
my
just like pop-up things?
No, 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 no. If I don't have at least, and granted, like just prefacing, I'm the default parent. I'm the mama, right? I've got a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 5-month-old, and 5-month-olds with me all the time. So I can't just like scoot. And I do bring her to a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
more often than not, I want to be really focused and intentional. Like I wanted that stack of business cards. Like I don't just go and pussyfoot around. Like I go
Yeah.
in, I do the thing, and I leave. So I have to find childcare, and it's a whole thing. But the point is that if I do not have at least 2 to 4 things on my calendar a month, I'm searching. I'm
Got it.
going, I'm going to every single organization that's real estate related. I don't care if it's commercial. I don't care if it's residential. I'm going to meet somebody there that can help me and somebody that I can help. So
Yep.
I'll go and I'll scour Eventbrite. I'll Google a lot of really great places. If you're in real estate and you're looking to grow in your local market and you don't know how or who or where, is that the Association of Realtors. So the San Francisco Association of Realtors puts on killer events. Killer. Who else? The National Hispanic Organization of Realtors. So many events all over the country, guys. There's all sorts of organizations that are actively working. Women in venture capital, women in business, so many things that are not that group specific. Like it's not like only Hispanics show up to the National Hispanic Organization, or women show up. Men show up to the women events too because they're smart and they know there's opportunity there.
Totally.
So, there's so many places that you can intentionally put on your calendar. But I know, Landon, that if those things aren't on my calendar, I'm not going to do it. So every month at the beginning of the month, I go, great, I need to fill this up.
Yep. That's so smart. That's so great. I'm actually going to implement that more because for me, with Caitlin is pretty much, my wife is pretty much the default parent in a lot of cases, and she drinks the Kool-Aid of what we're doing. Rather she supports our dreams and our goals and what we're doing, and so if there are specific events that I deem valuable, I sign myself up
Yeah.
and prioritize it. And now it's shifted a little bit because she is in the business. And so now it's, do you want to come with me? Should we have parents watch the kids, and which is pretty cool, and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, that's great. I'm going to implement that. Thanks for that
It
tip.
helps. If you need to get out there and be around the people that are doing the thing that you want to do,
Yeah.
Eventbrite, organizations, associations, there's investment related ones too. If you have the wherewithal in you to have already picked an asset class like self-storage or multifamily or residential, there are specific groups. So get out there, guys. Get out there, meet people, talk to people, ask them questions. The easiest question to ask somebody when you go to a networking event is, what do you do? And what's your story?
Yep.
How did you
I
get
will
to where
say,
you are?
the last capital raising event I went to, Pace was hosting it here. This was maybe 3 weeks ago,
Mhm.
and was talking about meetups, any type of meetup, and how to operate at a meetup.
Okay.
And he said to be hyper intentional with every interaction you do. And so every interaction, he goes, I cap it out at like 3 to 5 minutes max per interaction, and I
Smart.
shift on to the next person. And he goes, I walk up to a person, introduce myself, and I go, hi, I'm Landon. What do you need? And what do you have? Basically. And many times they're not going to know what they have. They're not going to
Sure.
know what they have. So you have to kind of,
Tease it
you have
out.
to like you have to kind of like push them to figure out what they need, because there's a likelihood that they could be a private money lender for you on your deal because they want to partner with you on those deals, or
Okay.
they are doing something that could provide you value that they just don't know that it could provide you value at that moment. And
Got it.
so you can educate and kind of push them and talk about like, well, if I had, if I had if you're at a real estate event, if I had like a $400,000 house, and put it under contract for like $200,000, would you be a buyer for that? No, I don't really buy cash deals. Oh, okay. But if I had it under contract and the mortgage payment was $1,000 a month and the cash flow was $1,000 a month, would you buy it if it was a seller finance deal? Yeah, 100%. Okay. So you're a buyer. So I can put you in my list as potential buyer if it's a creative deal, and you can start talking about like all those little things,
Right.
and kind of leading them through those things. And then just keep it short, keep it sweet. And then he was talking about the little hack that I loved is, okay, it's kind of a slight remix to what you're doing currently with the business cards or whatever, but it's, you definitely add them on the socials, whatever, but he goes, wait 1 week. Do not do it instantaneously. Wait 1 week. And that's on purpose. And then, let me back up. Immediately after the meetup, record a video to that person.
Yes, the video. I was going to bring this up.
Record a video. Hey, Todd, it was so nice meeting you at such and such, whatever it was, and like dump your memory of these different things of whatnot, hoping to collaborate on your next self-storage facility. Let's talk about the one you have up in Utah, whatever it may be, and don't send it.
Right.
Wait a week. And then go, hey, apologize. It's taking me this long. I'm super busy. It's taking me this long to get back in touch with everyone from the meetup, but I wanted to, chat with you. And it shows that you're a priority and that your time is precious, that you don't just immediately send. It's just freewheeling. Like when people say I'm free whenever, like that's just not the case, So
true. There's
little things I learned.
Yeah, there's definitely value in, and this comes to the calendaring, right? So I used to be super reactive. I used to answer Landon's calls after one ring.
Yes, that's right.
And he used to. And he used to go, one ring, Daniela, every time, right? And he'd know if I didn't pick up after the first ring that I was not available. I always had this anxiety about getting back to people in a very short amount of time. And I quickly realized I was doing myself a massive disservice because I was always too available to the people I was working with. And I was allowing those people to call me and divert my focus and my day. I allowed people to divert my focus and my day every time I picked up my phone and I reactively responded to their needs. You can be in business and be a critical part of someone else's business without doing that. And I learned that no one was going to die if I didn't pick up my phone. And Landon taught me recently that I needed to start putting do not disturb on my phone, which I've done.
I know. I see it all the time now.
That has massively helped me as well. So in me building this new thing, it's very culturally common to jump on people immediately. Like it's all about your follow-up game. I've gotten an opportunity for a commercial referral and I didn't pick up the phone call. And I didn't call back for 45 minutes and she had already given it to somebody else. So there's like an immediacy in some of the things that you're going to do. So your follow-up game needs to be fast and it needs to be strong, but also measure that with not letting people completely divert your day and your calendar and your goals. So it's like this weird balance. And I have heard from multiple people that when if you're not getting a response from somebody and you keep following up with them, send them a video. The response rate to a video and a text is something like 98%. It's pretty wild. People feel that level of obligation because you've gone out of your way to do this and go, I'm here. I want to talk to you.
Yep. It's the truth. That's the truth. Just, I feel like I've taken, and I know we got to get out of here. You have a hard out coming up. I've taken that approach in many ways of my communication skills with anyone, with any sellers, with any agents, with you, with other, even friends. I'll put it this way, is that, I was talking with someone here like a month or two ago, and I'm like, how many people do you think you like over the past month you spoke with? Like truthfully, I think probably 10, 15 people, maybe whatever. Like truthfully, like friends and whatnot, maybe 10, 15 people max. But then you think about like, how many friends do you have that you have met, you keep up with, and all these different things? And it's probably closer to 50. And then you have other contacts in your phone, of course, that you have, and whatnot. But so for me, what I've shifted into doing, and this is a time suck for sure, but like if I think of you, I'm just going to send you an audio message of that. I'm thinking about you. Hey, hope you're having a killer day, Daniela. I'm at this cafe right now. It made me think of you, blah, 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 blah. Just that small touch. I do that with agents for real estate. I do that with sellers. I do that with friends. If I think of friends, I'll send them a heartfelt message of gratitude for them and our friendship and what we're doing and what they got going on in their lives and whatnot that I know about, and it just keeps our relationship intact and like beyond just surface level small talk BS. And
Yeah,
with agents, it's huge. Case in point.
I believe that.
Case in point today. So we recently canceled a deal up in Battleground, Washington.
Okay.
Right? Remember
Yep.
that deal? Nasty
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
The agent's name is Jared, and I was the main point of contact that kind of sourced that deal and whatnot. And he, early part of our discussions, like early, like rapport building days, brought up this restaurant called Sandfish. Sandfish is this sushi whiskey restaurant. Fast forward to today.
Sounds amazing.
We're going there for dinner tonight. It's
Right.
here in Phoenix. Okay.
Yeah,
And
you did that.
so I go, well, I had a good time working with that agent. We kind of canceled a deal, not good. But what's a way I can just do a small touch without sounding pushy or like checking in or feeling desperate? Hey, Jared. Hey, man, took your words. We have a reservation. We're going to go to Sandfish tonight. Hey, what do you recommend on the menu? And now, Daniela, I don't need Jared's help to pick out something on the menu, nor do I care. It doesn't matter,
I
right?
know.
It doesn't matter. I'm going to do
Right.
me. But
Right.
like, it's building that relationship with him to stay top of mind with him. If you think of someone, send him a message, send him an audio message, send him a text message, send him that one thing. It takes 10 seconds out of your day, out of your moment to do that. And it's not like I do it to everyone all the time. I do it maybe twice a day to different
Right.
people and just ping them, just boom, boom, when you think of them. And I'll tell you the relationships you develop. I'm certain I will remind you, I will call you, Daniela, and go, hey, you remember that Sandfish audio message? That just led to this deal. That one audio message, that relationship builder that I just did, that's going to push to the next deal that we did that just turned into a $10,000 check.
Insane. And this is true. So guys, we've shared like probably 15 actionable things that you can do when you decide you're ready to start something new. It's the end of the year. Scrub your life, make new plans, set some goals, and put some shit on your calendar.
Yep. Cool, guys. See you next time.
Take care.